Did you know Reddit caused a minor panic in an Arizona town in 2014? I didn't know until recently. It's only because I love Arizona, but I'm new to Reddit. I'm not new to Arizona. I've been here since 1993, and I love Arizona history. I love traveling around Arizona. Especially, I love the ghost towns. I like going to ghost towns and whatnot and learning about it, and it's just an integral part of Arizona history and the Southwest, basically, in general. I came across this, so I was looking at Mammoth, and I was not expecting to see this. In November 2014, Mammoth was the subject of a fictional horror tale on the Reddit subreddit No Sleep. Well, No Sleep should have been a clue, in which a contagious disease wiped out the population, which is not that much in Mammoth, because as of 2020, anyway, there was 1,000, so there might have been less than 1,000 people allegedly wiped out. Naive users, that's being very, very nice about it. Naive users believed and spread the story somewhat akin to the 1938 War of the Worlds panic. The town was inundated with phone calls from people trying to ascertain what was happening. It actually made the news. I didn't hear about this until a few days ago. So authors of Mammoth's story apologize for unintended hoax. Authors of the fictional horror story set in Mammoth, Arizona, have come forward to explain their intent and apologize for any real-world hysteria. A fictional horror story spilled into the real world on Tuesday as readers began calling businesses and a police station in Mammoth, Arizona to find out if the story was real. Now, the authors have come forward to explain their intent and apologize. Of course, as if they would have to. It's on No Sleep. We sincerely apologize to anyone who was called or contacted or worried by the readers of our pieces. We never saw anything like this coming. Well, yeah, it's on No Sleep. So I had to check this out, and I'll have it linked in the description. If this is the first time you're hearing this, or you haven't heard about this in 11 years, it's a lot of fun to go through and revisit this. The comments were fantastic. So yeah, this is 11 years ago. It's No Sleep. No Sleep. All right, so we have what the F is going on in Pinal County, Arizona, and why they picked Mammoth. I don't know enough. I've never been to Mammoth. I've probably driven past it, a dozen times or more. But I've not gone. I'm gonna have to make a trip to Mammoth now. After this, I'm gonna have to make a drive down there. I'm gonna begin this by saying that I chose this online community because it has the exposure of over 1.4 million people. Wow. If anyone reading this or knows someone in Mammoth, Arizona, please contact me immediately via this Reddit username. I also posted this on my website. I run a blog about cold cases, but for some reason I can't see it. I've tried posting at least 15 times, but I'm not getting anywhere. So I really hope this post uploads. So far, you got my attention. This is really cool. I live in Mammoth, Arizona, and nothing has ever happened here worth writing about because, well, Mammoth has a population of about 1,500. So, then in 2020, it's 11. Oh, so there's 500 people less. Oh, okay. All right. Interesting. 11 days ago on the 3rd, an older woman who runs a home daycare in my town was found dead in her bathroom by a parent who was picking up his daughter. The kids were all really agitated and told police that Mrs. Booker, the deceased, had been yelling at them and bleeding from her eye before she went into the bathroom and collapsed in her bathtub. You want to make it really creepy for me? Have it involve the eyes. Sad and unpleasant, but not really news. But a day later, the daycare babies developed a rash and started bleeding from her ear. One of the daycare babies developed a rash and started bleeding from her ear. She died 12 hours later, and so did 8 other kids from the daycare, all with similar symptoms. This started a murder storm in my town. I only swear in Italian, Sicilian, or Espanol. A murder storm in my town. In a town of 1,500 people, attempts to keep people unaware and calm were an utter failure. It was on Facebook by the following day. Well, if it's on Facebook, Yeah. See, that part of the story, you can see where it would really start spreading a cesspool of misinformation. 9 people who had been at the hospital when the kids were starting to trickle in also started exhibiting these symptoms, I'm told. None lasted more than a few days. Wow. By last Friday, 18 people who had indirect contact with the children were reported missing or dead, or of natural causes or unknown causes. All had exhibited similar symptoms just before their deaths. It was at this point I became directly affected. My sister returned from Oro Valley. That's a real place too. Oro Valley, actually pretty nice. That's how you get to Mount Lemmon. And if you ever have the opportunity to drive to the peak, because you could drive the peak, it's a wonderful drive. I was at this point, I became directly affected. My sister returned from Oro Valley, the closest hospital, a complete wreck. She had gone to visit her friend's new baby, and upon arriving had been informed that both her friend and baby had died. Everything I just told you was told to her by a frightened nurse. I fact-checked what I could. My sister was literally hysterical. She was speaking a full octave higher than usual and at twice the speed. I've never seen her act like that before. Her shoulders and arms had bruises so big, I thought maybe she'd been in a car accident. That's a nice touch. On the way home, she told me she didn't know where she'd gotten them, and I tried to put her to bed, and she freaked out and started screaming at me that my bedroom was too hot. I took her temperature, which was 102.8. I convinced her to go to bed. Well, good. I fell asleep on the couch shortly after waiting for a call back from the town's ME. I guess that's the medical examiner. I wake up to my phone going off. I had 7 texts from friends of mine, all reporting the same thing. Entire families found beaten to death all over Mammoth. Blood, bruises, nails, missing teeth, hair ripped out, all of them. I heard reports of anywhere from 14 to 55 bodies, depending on who you were talking to, in a state of complete shock. Well, in a state of complete shock. Well, you know, he's going through this, so yeah. I did the only thing I could do really well on autopilot, wrote an article about it for my blog. Now that, come on! How do you read that and think it's a real story, that this is something really happening? Then again, most people have no idea about anything going on in Mammoth, and so... But that was a pretty big clue. You wrote a blog. I made some calls around the city, but my usual contacts weren't picking up. I went to check on my sister, and she was bleeding from her ear, heavily. Between that and the bruising, I started to wonder if these were actually home invasions at all. I called a 24-hour urgent care in town, but no one picked up. I didn't want to risk driving her back to Oro Valley. I then tried 911, which also rang endlessly. I called my friend in Oro Valley, who works for a legit news agent, and she told me that they were reporting Northwest Medical was running a skeleton crew because most of the medical staff had either called in sick or been found dead in their homes. She said she'd seen tanks in Oro. Wow. I woke up the next morning, and my sister was gone. I don't know where she is, and I'm too scared to go looking for her. I have called the CDC multiple times, but every time I call the same woman. Every time I call, the same woman answers. That wouldn't fly today because the CDC has been gutted. But the first time she took a statement and she said she'd get back to me, every subsequent time I've called, she immediately puts me on hold. She never comes back to the line. Oh, no. This morning, my contact at the police department finally called back. He told me the death toll is incalculable. It's only a town of 1,500, now 1,000. Incalculable at this point, but they are being iced out by both the state and federal governments at this point, with one exception. 2 people from the CDC showed up yesterday. My contact overheard them talking about Mrs. Booker's cancer treatments as if it were relevant. He doesn't know if it is, but he hopes I can make something of it. I can't. This is good storytelling. I don't know about Oro, but my estimation for Mammoth itself is around 40 dead after showing the same symptoms. I haven't seen any of this in the news, which I've been watching religiously. Why not? We have been told the safest place for us right now is inside our homes. I haven't seen a car pass down the street in 2 days. That's probably not out of the ordinary for a place like Mammoth. I'm scared. My sister is still missing, but I'm too afraid to look for her to go into the room she was sleeping in. My hair is falling out from stress. I've been smoking like crazy. This morning I noticed a bruise on my arm. I know my immune system is compromised, well, because he's smoking, and I'm too afraid to leave my house. I called my parents in Tucson and left a message, but they haven't called back. I think Tucson's like a half-hour drive from where this is happening. The last I heard from my friend in Oro was Saturday morning. She texted to tell me that they had started to find bodies lying in the street. No one is bothering to collect them anymore. I responded, but she never texted back. I'll update more as soon as I can. Anyone in Oro or Mammoth, please contact me. I haven't seen another human in over 2 days. That is probably a nice benefit to that. I feel like the last person on Earth. Edit. It's almost 6 here, and a siren has been going off for about 10 minutes. I don't know if it's a tornado siren, well, or an air raid siren, but it's loud and creepy as F. We don't have tornadoes in Arizona, as far as I know. Although, with the storm last month or so, if you saw how many trees were knocked down in Tempe, it looked like a tornado went through Tempe. I noticed a small bruise on my arm that, upon further effing inspection, spreads all the way down one side of my back. I'm so effing scared. I had a breakdown where I just screamed at the wall and cried, and there was blood in my... See, it's the thing with the eyes. Yeah. Blood in my tears, and that was like an hour ago. To the person calling businesses here, that is not us answering. Our downtown has been shut down all day. I called a couple of places where I know the business owners and employees, and the people who answered are not locals. I don't know what they told you, but they're not from here. Wow. I'm going over to the neighbors because I can't be alone anymore. And F it, it's not like I can get it because I've already got it. The sirens have terrified me and the sun is almost down. My name is Lindsay Allen and I'm 29 and I'm from Mammoth, Arizona. That was great. I'm really into zombie movies and 28 Days Later. And so this kind of stuff that, gets my attention. And I enjoyed the story. It was but there were a few, I did the only thing I could, I blogged. So that should have been a clue right there. If the no sleep wasn't enough. LOL, damn OP, your county apparently got hundreds of calls from literally all over the U.S. Now that's what I call viral. I still enjoyed the story while it lasted. This has been, okay, I'm not going to spend all night going through all the comments, but really, the comments were totally worth it. The comments were almost as good as the story, and it'll take you a lot longer to go through. So here's where I made the Arizona Central Reddit, you master of trolls. Well, Mammoth is only an hour away from me. Great story, man. I live in Pinal County, and that really freaked me out. Yeah, I can't believe that people can't understand the rule. And here's some, and this is not too long after it. Whoa. I can't believe that people can't understand the rules of this Reddit. This thread should be put up as an example of how not to participate on no sleep. I'd say something supportive to OP, but a lot of people have already broken the first rule of no sleep. What's the point? This just makes me, just makes my eyes roll so hard I have a headache. Well, hopefully your eyes are not going to start bleeding like the poor people in Mammoth. Oh, great, I only live 5 minutes away from Oral. So there, a Reddit post causing a near panic in a little town, and now a much smaller town in Arizona, Mammoth. Wow, that they actually had to come out and apologize for a fictional story freaking people out.